FaZe Clan has ended and kicked everyone from their clan. Well, not really, but they have kicked most of their members and they seem to be starting an entire new era over at FaZe. But how and why exactly did your favorite FaZe member get kicked out the clan? Well, that's probably what you're here to figure out, so if you're new to the channel, don't forget to press that subscribe button to join the trap house with the biggest trapper. And while you're at it, don't forget to click that very first link down below in my description to join the Discord server and become an official member of the community. Now, as many of you may know, FaZe Clan started off as a Call of Duty clan way back in 2010 and began picking up immense popularity in the years 2014. And for years, anybody that played Call of Duty or really any form of competitive gaming wanted to join FaZe Clan. And also in the year 2014, it may have been 2015, I'm not very sure, but around that time is when the very first FaZe House New York was a thing. And this would be the start of FaZe becoming the biggest esports organization in the world. And this house would include very popular FaZe members that we all know now, like FaZe Banks, Adapt, Apex, Blaze, Temper, and Tico. And this will be one of the first, if not the first, content house that there ever was. And early FaZe Clan literally laid out the blueprint on how to be a successful organization. And of course, many of you know that this started from a game called Call of Duty. FaZe Clan wasn't always just this very big company with all of these popular YouTubers and athletes and things like that joining the org. It all started with a few friends just sitting in their rooms doing crazy things with snipers on Call of Duty. And over time, it would just slowly become a global thing. Like, you would join a random Call of Duty lobby and people would have their clan tag as FaZe or have FaZe emblems. There was just always that one person who just wanted to quick scope and trick shot and things like that that made FaZe the clan that they started off being. It just 2 years after living in that FaZe house in New York, FaZe started becoming bigger than they would ever imagine. And once things started becoming bigger than just friends making content together, that's when it would start to be the beginning of the end for FaZe Clan. Around like 2016, I'd say, FaZe really started becoming a company and going out and hiring all these other types of people to take the business to the very next level. And in 2016, they would hire a man named Lee Trink. And in my personal opinion, I think that this will become one of the biggest mistakes that FaZe Clan has made. This was one of the first few steps in the wrong direction for FaZe, because after hiring Lee Trink as an advisor in 2016, he will move on to become the CEO of the entire FaZe company in the year 2018. And once Lee Trink became the CEO of the company, this is when all type of other corporate officials started joining. They had another man named Greg Selko, who was the president of FaZe at the time. Just a bunch of names that you probably never heard of or probably didn't know that any of these people had anything to do with FaZe at all. These were the people that were actually running FaZe into the ground behind the scenes. But to us, all we knew was the FaZe members that we seen on our screens. We knew the streamers and the YouTubers, but at this point, nobody really knew who was operating FaZe. And by the way, when I say FaZe began going downhill in 2018, I don't necessarily mean the things that they were doing at this time were bad, but it definitely did have a negative effect in the long run. Because in 2018, you all know that's when Fortnite started popping and things like that. And according to FaZe Banks, that's when FaZe was really the biggest it ever was. And a lot of companies or content creators probably peaked the most during the prime Fortnite era. That's just facts. But something weird started happening with FaZe. At one point, FaZe was only signing gamers and content creators. Like, it was almost impossible to join. Like, for some people, it became a literal dream to get into FaZe Clan. You had to be great at sniping in Call of Duty, trick shotting, just something that involved being good at a game, whether that was Call of Duty or in later years Fortnite, just any game that can be seen as competitive. But after 2018, when all the corporate people who I just named started to take over the company, FaZe wasn't really about just gaming or content creation anymore. It was just about how popular a person really was and how it could help FaZe branch into different worlds. For example, FaZe started signing rappers to the company, athletes, or even actresses. Anyone who even had the slightest interest of gaming and were popular in another field had a great chance of joining FaZe. They even had people like Snoop Dogg, who's 52 years old, on the board of directors at FaZe, which ended up going completely bad. He allegedly lost over $7 million from his stake in FaZe, which caused him to just completely cut ties. It's a bunch of stuff that goes into the Snoop Dogg situation, but the point of me even telling you that is to tell you that things started going very bad with FaZe very quickly. Because after getting all these corporate officials and big name celebrities to invest into the company, In July of 2022, FaZe Clan would officially become a publicly traded company. That means people like you and me could literally just go buy a share of the FaZe stock and own a very small percentage of the company. Now, I'm not a financial advisor at all, but don't go do that. I'm just telling you what it means to be a publicly traded company. But honestly, when FaZe was actually on their quest to becoming public, the company was valued at over $1 billion, which is insane just knowing the history of how it started and seeing that it could be valued that high to begin with. But around the time that they officially became a public company, they were valued at about $725 million, which was a decrease from their original evaluation. But unfortunately for FaZe Clan, after this moment, things will only get worse for the company, because just 1 year later, the FaZe Clan company was doing so bad through the first half of 2023, they decided to end up firing the CEO of the company, Lee Trink. But this will all end up being a blessing in disguise. You see, just 1 year after FaZe Clan was valued to be worth over $725 million, they ended up selling the company for about $17 million to a company called GameSquare. Now, obviously $17 million is still a lot of money, but it was nowhere near the $725 million that it was valued at just a year prior. But as I said, this will all end up being a blessing in disguise for FaZe Clan, because this moment right here where GameSquare acquired the company would be the turning point for the entire organization. GameSquare promised that they were going to take FaZe Clan back to the original roots of the company, and they held up to that promise, because they ended up making FaZe Banks the CEO of FaZe Clan, while also making FaZe Temper the president of the company and FaZe Apex as the COO of the company. 3 of the original FaZe members who ended up making FaZe what it is today. And for a while after this, it started becoming quiet, like nobody really knew what was going to happen with FaZe now that the original FaZe members were back in power. The only thing that we knew for certain was that the OG members weren't happy about the direction that FaZe was going in when the company was being controlled by people like Lee Trink. So when this deal was made back in October of 2023, people didn't really know what to expect from FaZe Clan, and many thought that it was too late, but FaZe Banks would tweet out this picture, giving fans a lot of hope. And he also mentioned that it was important to note that the deal wouldn't close for another 60 to 90 days, so his plans that he had for FaZe Clan wouldn't start happening for another few months. And about 3 to 4 months later, the deal would be officially official, and FaZe Banks would put a tweet out saying, "You're all fired." And truth be told, he was not joking with that tweet at all, but we'll get there in a second. Just a week later, on March 4th, 2024, a tweet came from the official FaZe Clan Twitter page saying, "I got the passwords back," and this tweet was from no other than the CEO himself, FaZe Banks. And once again, things went quiet for about a month, up until the point where FaZe Banks would do a podcast with Bradley Martin, where Bradley Martin would ask him some questions about FaZe Clan, and this is what he had to say.
We're cutting all kinds of people.
Yeah, okay.
We're cutting the roster down significantly. We had something like 140 employees this time last year. I think we have 30 right now. I want to cut that down even further to like 10. I firmly believe that as long as the brand is taken care of, as long as the people who are a part of the brand, you know, that roster of 10 people are all on the same page, have the same focus, have the same vision, and are incentivized the right way. Like the corny, like us paying members to put FaZe in their name and having that be the relationship, like that doesn't work.
So as you heard, he said that he fired over 110 people and he still wanted to fire more. But during this time, we had no idea what he was talking about. We didn't know who got dropped, who he was referring to, what was going on with FaZe Clan. Nobody knew at the moment. But over a month and a half later from this point, some shocking news would drop about FaZe Clan. An official tweet from the FaZe Clan page came out that was captioned Control-Alt-Delete, and with this tweet, a video of the official FaZe roster would drop, and in this video, it only showed about 14 FaZe members who were remaining in the clan, with about 4 that had the word loading beside them. So obviously they're planning to recruit 4 people. One of them just got announced. We'll talk about that later. But the point is, everybody was gone. Like even some people that we thought would never be kicked out of FaZe Clan. Now there were numerous people cut. As you heard, he fired over 110 people. So I'm not going to name everybody that got dropped from the company, but a few notable names include FaZe members like FaZe Kaylee, who I thought was like a super good addition in FaZe. I feel like she was one of the people, along with like Swag, who was carrying FaZe through the dark moments where nobody was really gaming or playing Call of Duty like that. I feel like her and Swag really helped FaZe out a lot. So me personally, I don't think she shouldn't have got kicked, but this was her reaction to it all.
Yeah, I'm being serious. I got kicked. One of the only members that can pull millions of impressions a week. Top streamer. for Warzone and still had so much love and passion for a team that I didn't even get paid to stay there. I stayed because I loved it. I literally got told by everyone that me and Scope were gonna be we were gonna be the people to stay. And it's just Scope now. And I'm not like really emotional. I don't think I've ever like really cried on stream. But this has been like a year in the making. They treated like we were fucking stupid. But the way that it was handled, nobody deserved that.
And her reaction would end up triggering a response from one of the FaZe Clan OGs, FaZe Adapt, where he just responded and said that, okay, you didn't get a dime, join the club with the rest of us. And he also asked, where's the girl from Stranger Things? And we all know what happened with her. And because of her reaction, it also seems like FaZe Banks had like a genuine reaction and explanation for her being kicked from the company. And he said a lot, so I'll put the whole tweet up on the screen. But to sum it up, he ended up saying that the only reason why Kaylee was kicked from the clan was because a genuine relationship with her could never be formed because of the nature in which she was recruited. She was unfortunately recruited during the darkest era of FaZe, and they just wanted to wipe the slate clean at all costs. And people were surprised the most because not only did some of these new people like FaZe Kaylee get dropped, but there were also people who were OGs at FaZe Clan and actually a part of that FaZe New York house like FaZe Blaze, who didn't make the cut neither. Another big name I want to mention that got dropped from FaZe is FaZe Sway. He wasn't really a big part of FaZe during the upcoming days with the sniping or anything like that, but when Fortnite came out, FaZe Sway would become a major part of this company. Like, he was one of the people that was carrying the Fortnite side of it, and even he ended up getting dropped. And also like the entire Newt squad other than FaZe Swag ended up getting dropped. And after all these firings and people getting dropped or whatever the case was, Twitter was in an uproar, not really knowing what was going on or what FaZe Banks was doing. And he even made a tweet responding saying, F them all, couldn't have said it better myself. What does it say about how Blaze reacted versus how some of these random little clout chasing rats are reacting? We didn't even recruit you, some effing weirdo did. See ya, this is a reboot. They ended up just doing a complete reset on everything, but there is some good news in all of this. While every content creator did get kicked out of FaZe besides the 14 I mentioned, they didn't fire anyone from their esports teams. They kept all of their esports teams together. So for the people who love competitive gaming and watch FaZe esports and things like that, all of those teams are still there. They did not get touched. So for those of you that enjoy that, or if you someday want to compete for a FaZe esports team, then that opportunity is still on the table. But other than that, it seems like Banks, Apex, and Temper just ended up completely kicking everyone and starting all over fresh. I personally feel like this entire reboot was needed for FaZe, and I think it's a step in the right direction. But you guys know that the only opinion that I really care about is y'all's opinion. So let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of this entire FaZe reboot? Do you think they're taking a step in the right direction? What FaZe member do you think should have stayed? Do you think that any other FaZe members should have got kicked from the company as well? Just let me know how you personally feel about all of this down below in the comments. And while you're at it, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to press that subscribe button to join the travels with the biggest trapper and join me on my road to 2,000 subscribers. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, or if you didn't enjoy the video, be sure to give me a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback to me, and as always, I appreciate all the love and support, and I'll catch you boys and girls in the next banger, man.
Bye, have a beautiful time.